Welcome back to the Travsessed podcast. We're your hosts, Kim and Aaron. We are healthcare travelers and the creators of Travsessed, and we are coming to you live from our new apartment in Parker, Colorado. And what a effing whirlwind it's been to get here, and we will tell you the story next.
Flight crew, please prepare for departure.
All right, so as we said, we were in Parker, Colorado in our new apartment. I'm sitting in a rocking chair from the thrift store that I bought, and Kim is in a fold-out egg chair, I guess you call it.
Which we had these in Jacksonville too. The same exact chair when we had in our podcast studio.
Oh yeah.
We each had one, which is the same chair.
And we had one in our house. I bought one for you that you sat on the swing in front of me in one.
Yeah.
Wow. We've had it 3 times.
Full circle. Well, between Mimi's crazy snoring and your rocking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also, and the echo too.
And our neighbor upstairs is literally line dancing.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I mean, we have nothing else in the living room here that can break sound.
It's an echo chamber.
Yeah. I mean, we do have a Christmas tree though. We have a real one.
Yeah.
A mini that Kim bought. So we do have some. She surprised me when I came home from the strike, which we'll get into.
Yeah, we're going to get into kind of like the whole thing of how we ended up sitting, like we literally just moved into this place.
Last night,
right before a snowstorm came. Mm-hmm. And we woke up this morning. So it's just the journey to get here has been the most chaotic month of our entire freaking life. So let's just kind of get in from, like, let's pick it up where we left off, because the last podcast we did, we were driving to Colorado.
We were.
Right?
The only thing that I can't remember is if it was pre or post Paducah, because of the whole thing with, I thought we were going to come home and talk about the anniversary and how I surprised you. And
I feel like we did talk about that on the podcast, because our anniversary was on our second night, and I'm pretty sure after...
That's not true. You know what? I edited the podcast while you were getting ready.
Oh, no you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You worked on the vlog. Remember? I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right. Well, just, I guess, a quick recap then. So...
Yeah, because if we didn't talk about it, that's such a shame. Because that's actually, so awesome.
So, go ahead. Talk about it then.
No, so basically it was our anniversary. And another thing. Here's why. The last podcast we released was on our anniversary.
Oh.
So it was prior.
Cool.
All right. So now we know that we're not recapping. But, basically, we realized that we were going to be driving to Colorado on our anniversary, which in a way is kind of fun because... we haven't done a road trip in a while, and that's kind of how we all started this journey. And so, but we're like, we'll just get to Denver and we'll go to Sushi Den, which is our favorite spot. And so I thought of something that Kim and I have talked about for a really long time, and I knew we were going to be driving through this city and we would never really stop there long term. So I was like, what a cool kind of different thing for our anniversary. So I surprised Kim. She didn't know. We pulled into Paducah.
Well, hold on. We have to go back a little bit, because I feel like you're the context behind Paducah, because my first ever contract was in Wisconsin. And I feel like that's really distracting with the rocking. It's really loud.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I mean, you can do what you want, but I think it's loud.
Okay, go ahead.
I think you're going to be disappointed when you listen to the audio.
Okay, go ahead.
So we drove... What the heck was that?
The horn honking?
We drove up to Wisconsin from Atlanta, and we drove through... So we were going to Wisconsin in the winter, and we drove through Paducah, Kentucky, and we went to the Olive Garden there for lunch, and it was the first place that we saw snow on our way up to Wisconsin. And I remember being so excited. There was like this pile of like nasty ass, old ass snow, like just like there was none left, just this little dinky pile. And we like posed by it, and we were so
Put
excited.
Mimi in it.
Yeah, we're like, snow. We were so excited, and that was in Paducah. And then over the years, because we've traveled so many times across the country, we always seem to stop in the town of Paducah. So it's
For
kind
lunch.
of, yeah, it's kind of become like a place. I'm like, are we heading to Paducah? And we always go to the Olive Garden.
Either Olive
there.
Garden or Cracker Barrel when we go there.
Yeah. So on our anniversary, I said, like, we're driving. Let's not worry about it. Like, let's just get to Denver, and then we can kind of celebrate from there. And that was the plan. And then you were like, I planned something that I think is going to be really cool. That's something we would never do again. Blah, blah, blah. It's on the way. And I'm like, okay. And I knew it was our second day. So I'm like, it's got to be fucking Paducah. Okay, go on.
Really?
Though. Well, I told you.
You were thinking St. Louis.
No, I told you already how booking.com sent me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we share a booking.com app. And so I was with my sister and my mom, and I got a thing saying your room is booked in Paducah. And I'm like, what? But then I thought, oh, maybe you planned something. And then, and it was our second day. So I knew anyways, it was going to be around there. I had no idea what we were doing, because you were like, yeah, I've got something planned. We'll never do this again. I think it's going to be special. And I'm thinking, in Paducah? Like, is he taking me to the Olive Garden? That's what I was like, what are we doing?
Got it. So we watch Top Chef on Bravo a lot, and which is now streaming on Peacock, which is nice.
Oh.
No, not a new season, but just like you can get it on Peacock as well.
That's what we were watching the Denver. Yeah.
So we watch that all the time, and in the 3 really hardcore seasons we watch, there's been one chef that has been in all those seasons, and it was Sarah. Don't know her last name, can't remember it.
Sarah from Paducah.
Sarah Chef Paducah.
Chef Sarah.
Chef Sarah from Paducah. And Kim has always said, I would love to go to her restaurant. I would love to go to her restaurant. Every episode, every time she wins a challenge, Kim's like, God, I would love to taste her food.
Because she's like a star. Like, every time she cooks something, they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And like, you know, when you watch those shows, you're like, I want to try what they're tasting and see what I think about it, you know? And so I always and because Paducah, that's always like a special place, and she's from Paducah, and we're like, so I was always like, I want to go try her food. Like, okay.
And we always have said, well, we drive through it if we ever drive across the country, and you're always like, we're never doing that again.
Yeah, that's
true. So then the fact that we were doing it, I was like, wow, what a perfect timing. And the timing of us leaving in the time that we did put us in the second day on our anniversary in Paducah.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's perfect. So what was the name of her restaurant?
Freight House.
Freight House, good.
Yes.
Okay, because I forgot.
I know. It's amazing.
So if you're ever in Paducah and have some time, Freight House is amazing. What we did do that a lot of people don't do is we did the 6-course tasting menu with a 7-course wine pairing.
Yeah. Okay, I will say, so we get to Paducah. I know we're going to Paducah.
It's freaking raining all day.
Yeah, I didn't know what exactly we were doing. And then you told me, and I was like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. And I thought it was really cool. It was like really thoughtful of you, because it was our anniversary, and you were like, you know, that was a very thoughtful thing that we love. Like, it's Top Chef, it's a food experience. Like, I was like, this is awesome. I'm so glad we did this, because I was like, let's just power through and get to Denver. We would have driven all day on our anniversary. So you told me, I was like super excited, and my sister gave me these like thigh-high boots and this cute like sweater dress, and you're dressed really nice, and we walk in, and it's such a casual
People
restaurant.
were in scrubs.
People were in like sweatpants.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I feel so like at a place, I feel like everybody just stared at us because like we looked amazing, and we just like walk in and completely overdressed. But we did, and so you can go in and just order off the menu, right? Like, but we did the chef tasting, which was a totally different experience.
Which I think was really cool because we got to try the best dishes, and boy, did they not disappoint.
Oh my God!
It's exactly like, and one of the dishes that she got her into the finals of Top Chef, she has on the menu. So the one dish that all the judges were like freaking out about was on the menu. And so we got to try it. And that was the short rib, which Kim saw the menu and it was like short ribs. And I think that was it, that you were like...
There was short ribs, catfish.
The pumpkin soup.
Yeah, like I looked at the menu and I'm all about like a food experience. You know, I'll try anything, but I was like, oh, okay, like... I do not like ribs. That's like not my thing. And so I was almost thinking, because there was a New York strip kind of a thing on there too. And I was like, ooh, I'll like trade you my ribs and I'll get your like steak, because there's smaller portions, right? Because it's like a tasting menu. So I was kind of like poo-pooing all over the ribs.
What was your favorite dish?
Oh my God. That was like one of the best things I've ever had. And I'm like, I don't like ribs. Oh, holy shit.
But ribs and short ribs are different, just so you know.
I don't know.
Like
I don't know
a rack of ribs is like a rack, like you'd get it like Sticky Bones or whatever, wherever. But like a short rib is different.
Oh.
It's more elevated.
Is that what we had, short ribs? Okay. Well, that was the best thing I've ever had. I don't love catfish. Like, that was delicious. Like, every single thing that we had was pure perfection. Like the flavor bombs, just like every bite was amazing.
I mean, the pumpkin soup was the one thing that had me like my mind like all over the place, because it was pumpkin soup but with like a curry, and so then it had like a curryish flavor, but then it tasted like Thanksgiving, like with like what were they? It wasn't cranberries, amazing. But it was like grapes or something, but just like the
cherries
or something. God, like
it was such a freaking And Sarah was there.
Sarah was there. They were doing an event at her restaurant the next day.
With Kelsey. From all Top Chef. If you like Top Chef, you know Kelsey, the cute blonde. Like, they were on the same season together. I think Kelsey won. She was amazing too. I can't remember. But Sarah was there. So, of course, we keep turning around and you know, like, it's like, oh, she's right behind me. Oh, she's right there. It's funny because like you watch them on TV and then you think you know them, you know, like, and it is like you feel like you've watched them on TV, like she's like a celebrity chef, you know.
Yeah.
And then people were getting up and like taking pictures with her and stuff, and I was like, okay, we're gonna get a freaking picture with her.
And so what was cool was I noticed she was starting to scramble, like she was leaving.
Well, she put a hoodie on.
And I'm like, oh, she's leaving, so like we can't miss out on our picture. So she sees me almost like saying this to Kim. She looks, we make eye contact. She's like, hey, what's up, guys? Comes over to the table. We end up having like a 10 to 15 minute conversation with her, like what we do, where we're headed, her on Top Chef, just the event the next day. And she took our picture. She took our picture with us.
Without us.
Super cool. Like,
so cool.
What a cool experience to be able to just like chat with her for a little bit and then get our pictures.
Yeah. And like just so friendly, so like welcoming. Her food just freaking slams, man. It was so good. Like, yes, that was an overall just amazing experience. And the fact that she was there and we got to meet her and talk to her and like taste the food that she made, because she was working too, right? Like, obviously there's other chefs there, but she was like, what is it? Like running the line or working, like we're expediting. Like she was standing where they were putting stuff out. So it was just cool to see.
It was awesome.
It was a really fun
And what
night.
I thought was really cool was every Uber driver knew exactly who she was.
Yeah.
They knew the restaurant. Like, she is a full-on celebrity and has like really elevated the downtown Paducah area, which is really cool that she can use her fame and her skill to elevate that city. And so it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
If you're in Paducah, go to Fried House.
100%.
You will not disappoint. It will not disappoint. It was amazing.
And splurge for the chef's tasting menu.
Oh, 100%.
Or if not, just get the short ribs.
Yes. Yeah. And the dessert was like a pumpkin cake or something. Oh, I'm sure that's just seasonal, but that was amazing. Yeah. Everything. So then we kept driving to Colorado. And again, we've shared a lot of this on our Instagram story if you follow us there, but this is kind of more of like the in-depth story, right? I feel like our podcast, we're able to kind of just like share more. Like you can only say so much on Insta story, but we get to Colorado. We're so freaking excited. Again, we've waited so long to come here. We get here. What?
I will say, I feel like Paducah was our last night of normalcy.
What do you mean?
Just like, it just kind of felt normal. Like, going to dinner, coming back to the hotel. And like, yeah, we had a drive, but then like from then on out,
I did not feel like that felt normal.
No?
Normal? No.
Like a normal, like, I don't know. It just felt kind of, and then after that, it's just been total like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't feel that way. I mean, we're in a hotel, we're on the go. Like, I personally didn't feel that way.
Okay.
But love that for you.
Yeah.
I just, because we're on the road, I'm getting ready in like some hotel and it's just like whatever. So I wouldn't say it felt normal, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And then so we got this place on Furnish Finder, which we talked about on Instagram, and it was perfect because it was furnished and we were like, we can just show up. It was about 20 minutes. Ended up being like 28 minutes from where Aaron's gonna work, and like we won't really need anything. Like it was kind of perfect. It looked really cute. It was a 1-bedroom, all the things, and then we finally show up, and we are just so excited. We're like, we get to unpack. We finally get to be settled into our place, and we walk in, and it's a fucking studio. Like there's no door that separates the bedroom from the rest of the living space.
And it wasn't even a door frame. It was like an entire wall was missing. So like, it's not like, you could just put something in front of the door, whatever, or just pay for a door to get installed. It was literally an entire wall missing. And it was like 100% a disjointed studio.
Yeah.
And like now mind you, we pull up at 2:30, which we like worked for. Got up early, like hit the road, got there, 2:30 pulled in. We're like, this is going to be amazing. We'll have enough time to unpack, get settled, get our bearings about ourselves, and then get our...
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Oh my God.
Order our pizza and just settle in for the night and just chill and be settled. And that felt so amazing to unpack the Jeep and like get our bags out. It was just, I was so excited for that.
And when we walked in, I just like I think I did probably bust into tears, like, because just what you just explained, we were just so excited for that. And we just knew this wasn't going to work. And for us, a studio has always been off the table. Like, it's a hard stop for us. Always, 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 always. Like, we've never, ever entertained the idea of having a shared space or having no room. Like, we're just not that couple. Like, we need separation. Like, I wake up really early. Aaron stays up really late. We're coming and going. Like, you want to go in the room and close the door and just have your own space. And so had we had known that, again, on Furnish Finder, it was listed as a 1-bedroom, and it was... And
the pictures did not show that wall. They hid it on purpose.
And so I didn't even think about it, because it's like 1 bedroom is a 1-bedroom. I never thought to question it, never thought to ask. And so, yeah, if I would have known there was no door, we would never have put any energy into that space. We would have moved on and found something else. So we're so freaking pissed. And then I text the girl, who is also very lovely through this whole experience. And I just said, this was listed as a 1-bedroom. It's not a 1-bedroom. This is not going to work for us. And so basically she just said, like, I totally understand. And if you guys find something else, we'll prorate you back and we'll give you your deposit back. Like, didn't even make it a thing. Thank God, which shouldn't have, because that was false advertising.
And even said that they would install a barn door.
Yeah. which probably would have worked, but we also didn't love the area.
Well, I think
that was the other thing.
I think that's funny. Like when you go in, if there was a barn door on there originally, then we would have probably stayed.
We would have made it work, yeah.
We'd have made it work, but I think the minute we walked in, and we literally didn't even unpack the Jeep, I just made it to where I could see a little better, and we drove all the way down to Parker to find a new place to live that day. So we had just spent all that time driving, and now we're on the apartment search on the day we arrive, instead of unpacking
Just
our car and relaxing and settling in.
So there was a couple of things, because yes, the door was the main thing. As soon as we saw that, we're like, we're done. Like, we're out of here. This isn't going to work. Because if there would have been a door, I think we would have made the other things work. At least for that month, because we only paid for the month. So technically, we probably would have ended up leaving anyways. We didn't love the area. It was in Aurora, which just felt janky.
It felt
was
riff-raffy.
Very riff-raffy. It was quiet, but I don't know. There was just something about it. It just felt very ick.
A lot of sketch-ish people walking around yelling.
Yeah,
some girl was yelling at me, and I was on the phone, and she's like cussing and screaming, and it was just weird.
It was very riff-raffy, and the kitchen was so small.
Oh my God.
Which we've been traveling for 14 years. We've lived a lot of places with smaller kitchens. Like, we can really make most things work. And for some people, they don't even care, right? They don't even need a kitchen. But we cook everything. We cook all of our meals. That is something that's important to us. I can deal with a lot of other things, but like having space to like have the things we need to cook a meal, there was no space. So all of those things combined, well, the door was the thing, but then all the other stuff, we were just like, we got this. It didn't feel, I don't know, it's interesting because I feel like we've been traveling for so long, almost everywhere we go, we make it feel like home, right? Like, we settle, it doesn't really matter. Kind of, we just get in it. We're like, oh, this feels good. It feels cozy. We make our space work. This place just did not, even if there was a door, I don't know, there was something about it that just didn't feel good.
And that's what I was getting at. It's like the minute that I walked in was the minute I shut it down.
Yeah, because you saw the door though.
Well, right, but I'm saying, so then all the other stuff
didn't, yeah.
It's like, why am I going to make this work? There's no door. Even if they put a barn door, it still doesn't work. And now, like, I'm already said I'm moving, so that's in my head. So I'm like, no, there's a better place. And so that's kind of all the other stuff, instead of like figuring out how we'll do our drawers, which we could have went and bought like the little plastic things and made that work. But like, no, it was already written off.
Yeah,
like,
we
done.
already.
Like, I'm done.
So then we leave. We're out all freaking Friday night. So we drove down to Parker, looked at apartments. So Parker is where Aaron's working. And it's such a nice town.
Oh my God.
Especially compared to Aurora. Like, we were in a sketchy area, and just like you could feel that. We drove down here and it was just lovely. Like, it just felt good.
And that's the thing. It's like Aurora just felt busy as well.
Well, it's a city.
I understand
it's right
that,
outside Denver.
But it's just over.
In a different way.
Parker's busy too. But it feels like the quintessential Denver town, like, nice main streets with like decorations, and I don't know, Aurora just felt industrial, right? Like buildings and shops, and it was just like a lot. There's character here in Parker.
It's a cute little town.
Yeah.
And where we were looking at apartments was like close to downtown. I say down, it's like it's Main Street, but there's like a cute coffee shop. There's, a running, walking trail. It just, it had a lot of charm, and it just felt so much better here. So we look at apartments. We don't make any decisions at that point, but we just kind of gathered information, which again, I'll say that everybody talks about Colorado or like this Denver area being so expensive. And I know that it is to like buy homes and that kind of stuff. But for us, looking to find short-term leases, honestly, has been the cheapest we've ever found.
100%.
I was like blown away. Like, we found a 3-month lease, and the shorter the lease, the more expensive stuff is, right? And we've done 3-month leases pretty much everywhere we've gone. And they're always over $2,000 a month because it's a 3-month lease. It's just kind of like par for the course. The first place that we went that we actually almost moved into, we were on our, which we'll get into, but we were on our way there to like get this apartment when we ended up finding this other one. But it was $1,580 a month for a 3-bedroom, or a 3-month lease, which is very cheap. So if you would have gotten a year lease, oh my God, it would be even cheaper. There were some places that were like in the 1,300s. So I was actually really pleasantly surprised that for at least for rent, the rents around here were way cheaper than even the rents in Jacksonville.
Which is crazy because we learned yesterday that this is the 7th most affluent, wealthiest neighborhood in the nation.
Yeah. Our guy that we bought our mattress from told us that.
Yeah, which I don't know. I haven't fact checked that.
I don't either. It's a really nice area.
But he was using that in a way to say you should go to the thrift store to find stuff because the thrift stores here are really good quality stuff that people just drop off.
Yeah. Well, for instance, our West Virginia apartment was a
2,000.
Yeah, 2,100, but it was furnished. But even the place that we got in Atlanta, 3 months, that was I think 2,100, and that wasn't furnished. So it's usually around there. So I was like, wow, $1,580, like that's freaking cheap for a 3-month.
Yeah. Well, in the first place, it was a 15-month lease that we went to that literally was $1,400, and they were like pushing us to just break the lease.
Yeah, they're like, just get a 15-month lease, and then you can just break it, and it's going to be cheaper for you to do that because you only have to pay 1 month's rent to break the lease. But there were so many other places that offered short-term leases that were around the same price that were like, well, that's not cheaper.
Yeah, no, I understand. It was cheaper in their mind for their building, right? Because if you were set on living in that apartment complex, then like the 1,400, their next step was like, they didn't even have 3-month leases.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And a lot of times it can be cheaper to do it that way. Like 100%. If you get a year lease and then you end like whatever their lease break is, it can be cheaper because most of the time to get a 3-month lease is way more expensive than a year.
Well, I just want to explain that too, because you got to think a lot of times it's $500 to $600 more a month for a 3-month lease. So if you get a year lease at $1,400, let's say that their 3-month lease was, almost $2,000. You're doing the math of what that's costing you for 3 months, which is roughly $600. There's $1,800. So if their lease break is only 1 month, you're saving $400. Right. Even if you break it. So that's, as travelers, we can look into that. Don't write that option off.
Yeah, we've done that before too.
We have. In Seattle.
Yep. So anyway, we're like, okay, cool. Let's gather options. We drive back home. The next day we go for a hike. Saturday?
No.
Yeah. We went, where did you and I go for a hike?
We didn't. We sat around the house until 2 p.m. because I was doing a lot of my stuff because we had applied for the strike. And so then we were like, we just need to go to dinner to figure out if we're moving or not. Because then Kim was like, I don't know if this is the right move. Maybe we stay here for a month and just ride it out. Because then we were saying we couldn't get a 3-month lease because we were technically over 3 months.
Oh, okay. Right. So, going backwards, we had found out about a strike, and it was all California University, so all the campuses, and we had found out about it from a friend while we were even still in Florida. But when we were driving up, we decided like, let's go ahead. It's funny because at first I thought it was just me. We didn't even know there was IR all of radiology for some reason, because it was a sonographer who told me. So I thought, is it only ultrasound? Which I guess wouldn't make sense. That would never happen.
No.
But I don't know why. We're like, it'll just be me. And then we ended up finding out it was for all radiology.
On the drive to Denver, we were figuring all this out.
Yeah. So we were trying to hustle to get all of our stuff submitted so that we could go to the strike. There was no guarantee, but we're like, oh, it's really good money. We knew it was only going to be 3 days. This could be a great way to go make some quick cash, especially if we could go together. We're like, this is amazing. So we put all of that stuff in, and we didn't really hear anything. We're just kind of like, okay, well, I guess they'll call you if you get chosen to go, whatever. So we went to, we did that the next day. We were like, okay, we went into Denver. We went to the taco place.
Bar Taco.
Yep. And we were like, let's go talk about everything. Like, that's how we'll like talk things out. Like, let's go have dinner. Let's go have some tequila. And like, let's try to talk through what the best scenario is. So we go to dinner, we're talking, we're going through all the things. And we drive back home. And you literally got a text. What time did we get home? 6, 7?
7:30.
We went early, yeah. Got home 7:30. Or you got a text saying you were leaving the next day to go to San Diego.
I have been deployed. Kim has not. I've been deployed to leave. My flight is at 10 a.m.
The next morning.
So, mind you, keep up with this time frame here. Drove, got to Denver at 2:30, went apartment shopping until about 9 p.m., and then drove back to Aurora, slept, woke up, had to submit some more stuff for the strike, the last remaining things that I had to do, some health streams and things like that, was completely ready to go. Kim and I drove to Bar Taco, had dinner, sat there for like 3 hours and talked about all this stuff, then drove home. I get a text that states,
you're leaving
tomorrow at 10 a.m. Now, there's still shit all in the Jeep. Like, we haven't unpacked because we think we're leaving. Not sure. Kim's possibly getting deployed the next day. We have no idea. And I'm flying out. Bye-bye. See you later.
Yeah, like he's gone. So now I'm like, oh my God. Okay, like that happened so fast. And you left, which at first you thought you were going to San Francisco.
That was funny because I kept filling out my health streams were University of San Francisco, UCSF. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to UCSF. Like, and then it said, my ticket said SAN, S-A-N. And obviously that's not the call thing for the San Francisco airport. It's SFO. But like, I don't know why I just saw SAN. It was the health streams. So I'm looking on the departure chart, like for San Francisco flights, and there's nothing matching my times. And so I'm freaking out. Did they cancel my flight? Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I'll just walk to the gate. I walked to the gate and it says San Diego. Now, mind you, I've packed for San Francisco nights. Mm-hmm. Granted, San Diego nights were cold too. So yeah. I was definitely still okay there. But I called Kim and I'm like, I'm going to San Diego.
Not San Francisco. Because then I'm emailing. We have like a go-to person that is like helping us with getting compliant for the strike. And so we went through Aya, which we already work with Aya. But we worked with like a different compliant person, whatever. But our recruiter from Aya is the one who like submitted us, blah, blah. And I'm telling her, okay, like Erin's going to San Francisco. So like if there's any, I don't know if you have any pull, because you can get deployed to any of the campuses. I'm like, I'd like to go where he is so we can like be together. And then I'm like, I mean, just kidding. He's going to San Diego. If I can go there. And so Erin's gone. And now I'm like, having to go back. I'm like, am I going? Am I not? Like, I'm just kind of waiting around. And then I had to do an I-9 form, whatever. And so like once that was, because somebody else had to sign it, so we had to like figure that out. Once that was done, she was like, okay, you can get, they're going to text you that you could leave tonight or tomorrow morning. So I'm just in this limbo of like, and we have Mimi.
Well, I was going to say, mind you, the little thing called Mimi.
Yeah, so I'm like, what are we going to do with her? And so we ended up finding a rover who seemed like a perfect fit. She only took one dog at a time. But I also felt guilty about leaving her because she's older now and she's like she's literally grilling me right now. Like she knows I'm talking about her. Am I talking about you? She's like, bitch, if you would have left me, I would have. But like, she's gone through a lot already. And so I felt bad leaving her, but at least we had somebody on standby that I'm like, I'll let you know. I'm not sure, but like I'll keep you posted.
That was also very tricky. Like looking at that in hindsight, like to find a rover that I'm like, I can't book this, but please don't book anybody else.
Yeah, but we told her she could book some.
No, I know, but it was cool because her boyfriend was a healthcare traveler who is here on assignment, and she's just home and she works from home.
Yeah.
So she takes on rovers, which is actually really cool.
Yeah. So, but she was on standby. I have my suitcase packed. Our suitcases were already packed, so we didn't unpack, but I basically just made one suitcase into like what I would take. So that if I did get the call of like, you're departing tonight at 10 p.m., like my shit was packed. The girl said she'd come pick Mimi up, which that was great. But I'm in this weird limbo. So I never got the call that night. So the next day I'm like, okay, cool. You get to San Diego. You have no idea, like, you know, what you're doing, really. They just said, look for Uncle Knickers. What was his name? Uncle Diego?
Uncle Diego.
Look for Uncle Diego at the airport. He had like this random guy outside with this huge sign that just said Uncle Diego. And you're like, cool.
Yeah.
But he didn't tell you anything
No,
either.
like I walked up and he was like, oh, we're waiting for about 20 more people, so just go inside and sit there and we'll have the vans pull up. And so then they had like 6 or 7 vans just pulling up and just taking as many people as they could. They would just hold out their fingers of how many people they could do, and then you just like get in line and go. And then like we ended up at this like convention center, and this is what was really shitty. So you had these 3 processes. So you had like compliance, but I didn't have to go to that because I was completely compliant. So then I had to go to the hotel first. So there was like a hotel section, and then you had to go to make sure that your payroll was all set up. So I went to the hotel first, and she says, the 3 girls in front of me, they're like, you're going to be at Town and Country, blah, blah, blah. So you don't have anywhere to go. You can just walk over to the hotel, because the hotel was connected to the convention center. So then it comes to me and she's like, you're at the Best Western. So you have to wait for the shuttle. So I'm like, okay, so I do my payroll thing. I go to the Best Western. This place is a jank hole. Like, I was like, and mind you, this is an all allied EVS. I mean, there was like 39,000 employees like going on strike. So there's a lot of people there. So this girl in front of me in the van, she's yelling at the van driver, like, where's the hotel? And he's like, it's behind you. And she's like, they told me I was going to be staying in a 10-star hotel. What is this shit? And like, I ain't staying here. And like, this sucks. And like, she's causing a ruckus. I'm like, dude, just get me to my room. I don't even care. Like, I'm here getting paid. Like, who cares? Yeah. And so I get settled in, and that was the last we heard.
Well, and I'll say too, like, well, you were staying at this janky ass Best Western, and then other travelers or other people who are working the strike are staying at like a beautiful place.
Well, that's what
so
I was
it's like,
getting
how
at.
are they deciding?
The Town and Country was a resort.
Yeah.
They had a lawn, they had pools, they had live music, they had restaurants, they had, I mean, it was insane. And I'm like, how did I draw the Best Western straw? And these people get to stay in this gorgeous resort with like fire pits and like...
Yeah, it just seems like they should make it more fair across the board of like, if you're all there essentially making the same money or whatever, that like, why are some people staying in these like crappy ass scary hotels and other people are staying at a resort?
Yep.
You know, I will say too, I just want to say, you know, I think people have mixed feelings about strikes and working a strike in particular. And because again, people are striking because they're trying to, you know, make a point and kind of get their needs met, right? And so a lot of people go on strikes for that, for all different kinds of reasons. And so people coming in, or scabs, whatever they call them, like coming in to work is discouraging those negotiations from happening and this and that. Or you're not supporting the people who are working, who are trying to get what they need from their jobs. And I think it's like, because again, we're all able to choose whatever feels best for us. If you don't feel like working a strike is a good idea for yourself, you don't do it. If you feel like it is, then you do it. Like, we're all able to make our own choices. But my thoughts on it are, A, it's such a great opportunity to make a lot of money. And we work in healthcare. Like, unfortunately, people are always going to get sick. Like, patient care doesn't stop.
It's
like,
not the patient's fault that the
right. So because people choose to strike, that doesn't mean that ultrasounds are just not going to happen, or IR procedures, or rooms not getting clean. All the things, all the people who participate in the functionality of a hospital, like, can't come to a stop where patients then suffer because there's nobody there to do the job. That just doesn't work. So somebody has to work. Somebody has to be there to take care of the patients while they work through negotiations. And the hope is that everybody gets what they need on the other side of it quickly.
And there's constant support for health. I think healthcare workers are completely underpaid and underappreciated. And like, I feel that way completely. But again, like you said, hospitals are not going to stop. So therefore, there is going to be people coming in. It's not just like one of those things that like, they can just be like, okay, they're going to go on strike, so we'll shut the hospital down for the days and whatever. And it's not about the money the hospital would lose during that time frame of shutting it down. That's actually like horrible for patient care. Like, let's not forget why we're all in this, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that is the core of what we all do. We are healthcare providers in whatever way. And it depends on the entire hospital working as a function to get things done. Like,
yeah.
So therefore, the hospital will not come to a stop.
Right.
With that being said, it does cause a disruption, and I think it's actually quite silly of the hospital not to just give them what they want. But I also understand the business side of things, that like, people will always go on strike. People will always ask for more money. Even if you've already lived 3 or 4 years with this wage, why not ask for more? Like, it's always going to happen. It's a continual process, right? Business side, personal side. It's just the way it is, right? Like, that's the way of life and the world that we live in. And so it does, for me, the fact that they are paying us ungodly amounts of money to go fill this strike, they could have just given their employees, but it does cause enough of a disruption in the hospital that they feel it as well. And so it does prove a point. Even though we are coming in and working the jobs, they're taking a huge hit out of their, and however they work that, insurance money, whatever it is. To me, it's like, the point is like, I don't want your job. I'm there to fill out until you get what you want. And the longer we're there, the more money is bleeding out of that hospital. So like, it has a win-win. It usually always does have a win-win scenario for both sides. And so that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
And if I was full-time and we were going on strike, I understand the job has to get done.
Yeah.
So like, people are going to come in, and good, like, let them come in and figure it out. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, me too. So all that being said, long story short, I did not get deployed to go on the strike after a couple of days of just being on edge. Like, I just was like, am I going? Am I not? Like, it was like the craziest feeling. And then I finally got a text saying that I would not be getting deployed this time. So then I was like, okay, I figured, because like, they're already working, but at least I know for sure. So I didn't go. But we did hear that they're going to be going on strike again, and there's a couple other strikes. So I actually I am going to, we learned about a company called Huffmasters, and they work primarily doing strikes. And so I'm going to sign up with them, and I'm hoping to get a couple of opportunities to work some strikes while hopefully trying to find a contract here in Colorado. But so far nothing has worked out. Fingers crossed. We still hope that something will happen at Aaron's hospital for me. But in the meantime, being able to do something like that. So if you're listening and like, working a strike is something you've kind of thought about, or how do you get into it, look at that website, and I think they alert you of different strikes and different things. And people who worked with Huffmasters made way more money than people who worked with
They
IA.
made more money. I think, just ending this part of it, like, number one, strikes are always chaos.
Well, I was going to have you talk a little bit about your experience.
We can just, I can wrap all this up.
Yeah.
So like, strikes are always chaotic. I did notice a very clear difference between AYA's logistics and Huffmasters logistics. Also hearing people talk. And so I think it doesn't discount that there was a lot of hardworking people and a lot of really good people with Aya that, went above and beyond to make sure that we were okay. And like, I think it's, again, you get what you put out, and I appreciate them for all their hard work. And I know that they're hearing chaotic things from the hospital, and there's all these things, and then they're trying to relay this message to like thousands of people and get people in place. And so there's a lot going on both sides. I think that's taken for granted, at least what I witnessed. There was a lot of hostility being like shot out at like Aya employees and things like that trying to work the strike, which I think is unfair. But it's always chaos. I will say that this strike, work-wise, was the easiest and most cool strike I've ever done, and I've done 2. So out of the 2 that I've done, this one was amazing. The leads at the hospital were phenomenal.
Well, because leads and management can't strike, so they're going to be there.
They're not
because
part of the union.
They're there to help keep things organized.
Correct, and they cannot be part of the union. Management cannot, or else I would defer the issues of union, right? So they were there. They were very welcoming. I show up, and it's one of the attendings I worked with in Washington at Harborview, who was like one of my favorite all-time IR docs. He's there in San Diego now working, and like he gives me a huge hug, and he was like, "Oh my God!" So it was like a really cool day. I worked with some really cool techs that worked the strike, most of which were local. It's kind of interesting, at other hospitals around the area that took PTO to work the strike, which, hey, I mean, get you some, whatever. But it was kind of funny because they all knew each other, and like it was kind of weird, but it was just a really good experience. But I did notice that Huffmasters were a lot more organized. Like that's what they do. They do strikes. Their transportation was organized. Their hotels were organized. I think all the Huffmasters were in the town and country. Like it was just logistically easier, and they got paid more.
Right. So you worked an orientation where you were there for like 4 hours. I think kind of just for anyone who's interested, like, because I think for me, I've never worked a strike myself, so I'm always like, I want to know, what is it really like, like being there and just like the workflow of it all and kind of like what you do. And so like for this particular one, you had orientation, but it was like 4 hours, but you still got paid for 12. And you only had to work 2 days. So obviously every strike's going to be different. This one was like 2 days, and then the staff was coming back. They knew it was only going to be a 2-day strike.
Scheduled.
And you worked 16-hour days, both of those days, right? Because your call time was at 4 a.m.
Correct. So I had to be down in the lobby at 4:20 to catch the shuttle to the convention center, and then the shuttle from the convention center was shuttling. That was like the depot to shuttle to the different facilities, because you got to think that's not only hospitals, but that's outpatient clinics, that's standalone emergency rooms, that's all sorts of things, breast centers. So they were all shuttling out, and then there was like two separate hospitals systems, major hospital systems that were on strike just in San Diego. And UCSD has or UCSF has even more. So there's a lot of chaos and weirdness going on there. And so they would bus me in, and then we'd sit in an auditorium, and then they would call us. And so then basically I wouldn't start my shift till 7. And then I would start my shift, but I also could have went home at 4 with my shift because I was done. But like, then it becomes logistical with the buses, and it's not just like walking out the front door, and like you got to be careful with the picketers and things like that. So
so I wanted to ask you, because you are actually taking a shuttle to get to the hospital to get through. Like, are the employees actually really out there like picketing?
Oh yeah, drums, signs, news cameras, all of it.
Because I know other people who did the strike too that work. They were in San Francisco or LA, and they were saying that like people were like feeling unsafe because like they weren't being escorted around the hospital, or they were being dropped off at the picket line.
Oof.
Yeah. So I guess you don't realize that stuff's actually, or do you actually feel unsafe?
I did not feel unsafe. There was a portion that I did feel very uncomfortable because our bus driver did not know where to go, and she stopped right in front of the picket line. and she was taking us to the front door of the hospital. And like everybody on the bus is yelling and saying, you need to take us to the back. Like, we're not getting out here. And like, because it can get dangerous.
Yeah.
And so there's security and there's police and there's everything. And so she finally figured it out and found out where we were going. And we went through a back exit underneath the hospital. So like we went through like where they make deliveries.
Okay.
And then filtered up into an auditorium that was sealed off from the outside.
Okay. Because I think too is like, and even just talking to other sonographers, again, you're IR, which is cool for you too, because you're never going to have to worry about doing a night shift or taking call, or there's always going to be other people with you because you have a doctor, you have nurses. Like, you guys work in a team.
Yeah.
Sonographers don't. We work solo. And so, you know, I know that there were some sonographers that, like, you know, you kind of show up and then they're like, or like you're working night shift, right? So like you met a guy who had to work night shift, or like, you know, you kind of like, they do a lot of exams that maybe you didn't do. But what I didn't know is that there's a lead there that is organizing things. So it's not like this and all the strike workers are like, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, there's actually somebody there on the ground that works in that department that's helping organize and create a flow. So it's not like a free for all that you're just running around.
I will say,
doing nothing, like what you're doing with your head cut
this
off.
one wasn't, but Chicago was.
Right, which was totally different, but they even said the one in Chicago was not like a normal strike because, so I feel like
we were working
it's
side by
hard to,
side
like,
with the people on strike because
Yeah.
they hadn't technically gone on strike yet, and so they tried to cover up the strike as a COVID relief program, which was
Yeah.
false, and so that was chaos.
All right, let's wrap this up because I feel like we have to kind of full circle moment back to how we ended up back here, but like
If you want to hear more about strikes, like reach out, let us know. We can do a whole podcast on it.
Yeah, so I think just to wrap that up, it's going to be chaotic. If I get to go do one, I'll report back as a stenographer. I know we have a lot of stenographers in the group that listen. But it seems like, at least maybe in this situation, that it's chaotic and you just expect it. Like, you might work long hours. You might have to work overnight. Like, it might be a little bit like, what am I doing? Where am I going? But like, you're also getting paid a lot of money. And so at the end of the day, deciding if that's worth it for you or not, everybody that I talk to, including you, obviously, but other people who worked in different departments all said that they thought it was worth it.
100%. I mean, you're making what you make in a week, in a day.
Or more. Right?
So like,
it was between like $4,000 or $5,000, which to be determined. You're going to get your final payment on the 29th. So we're not sure exactly how much you've made to say like exactly how much it was or was it worth it, because you haven't gotten your final payment yet. That can also be a little unclear because you're like, wait, how much am I making? Blah, blah, blah. And so to be determined, but you've already made good money.
yeah.
And they paid for your flight outright and your hotel. So you didn't have to pay for anything out of pocket besides your food and stuff while you were there too, which is nice.
Yep.
Okay,
Right.
anything else you want to say on that?
No, I just basically...
Hey, no ma'am.
Well, she's fine.
I don't want her on that because then her hair gets everywhere. No ma'am, like, out.
I don't know where to go. So basically, like, wrapped up my 2 shifts. Flew
Aaron comes home
on Friday, which was like, okay, like, I'm home, hoping that, like, maybe we had a new place to live or whatever, or...
Okay, so my original plan was, if I didn't go to the strike, because again, I wasn't sure if I was going or not. If I didn't go, then I was going to like find us a new place and get us moved in so that when Aaron got home, we were already settled. In the meantime, a couple of contract opportunities came up for me. And that's one of our goals of being in Colorado, is like, we both want to work. We both want to make money. And like, you know, I haven't taken a contract in 2 years because I've been working on Travsessed full time, but we're in a place now of like, we want to make some really good money. And that when we both work, like, that's the money shot, like literally. So that's our focus. And so there was a couple of jobs that popped up for me that were north of Denver. So where we were, Aurora, was kind of in the middle. It was 30 minutes about to Aaron's job, and it was 30 to 45 minutes for these couple of contracts that popped up. So I thought, well, I'm not we're not going to move all the way down to Parker if one of these works out, because then that's a longer commute for me. That's crazy. So moving was on hold. I did one of the interviews and I was really excited about the job. Another thing, the pay isn't great here in Colorado, at least for ultrasound, but any money is good money. And I was still like, it's extra, right? It's me just working.
Plus it gets you into work.
It gets me back in so I can get my feet back in the door and get something on my resume, right? Because I have this huge gap in my work history. So I'm kind of like, whatever, I'll take what I can get. If it was just me working alone, I don't know if I would take a contract, just because, they weren't the highest. They were around like $2,000, which again used to be kind of normal, but now it's like, that's low.
I mean, that is
right?
crazy. Whereas like when we first started, it was like, I don't take anything below 2,000.
I know. And
now it's like people are like, I don't take anything below 3.
Or like, I know.
Like it's like, what?
It is, but it's like you find these contracts that are like 2,500, like over 3,000, and ultrasound is like saturated, so for travel, so the bill rates are just lower, especially in Colorado, right? Because everybody wants to come here. But I was like, whatever, it was like 19 something a week take home. I was like, fuck, that's still good money at the end of the day. So, and it was 36 hours. So I interviewed for it. I was really excited about it. But unfortunately, they were really heavy with anatomy scans and OB, which we all know is not my thing, right? And so they needed somebody to hit the ground running. I wasn't going to be their girl. So I was disappointed about that. And then another job came up that was nights that I'm like,
you're still in the running for?
She just texted me about it to see if like when I was available to interview. I haven't texted her back yet. But now I'm kind of like, fuck. Because originally I was like, absolutely no nights, like not happening. But then the more we talked about it, I was like, I don't want to do nights because I've done nights once before and it's just, for me, it doesn't work in our life and our schedule and just all the other things. It's like you're a zombie when you work nights and the weekends are shot. So originally we were like, no. But then we kind of thought about it and we were like, but it's, extra money coming in and it's only for 3 months. Like, can you get through it for 3 months? So then I told my recruiter, I was like, well, maybe put me back in and let's see. And then never really thought about it. But then she just texted me today, actually. So, but that is still a 45-minute commute now because we've moved.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Did you put it back in?
I did earlier.
Oh, because remember how we like realized that Sushi Den was the same distance from Aurora as it is to here? So
yeah,
interesting.
It's 45 minutes. So anyway, I held off on moving because I just wasn't sure. But then when we kind of wrote those things off for like the night shift and the other one didn't work out, I was like, okay, let's fucking go.
Well, and by the time now I've been there, we literally had a day for Kim and I to just chill, which was fun. We went to Happy Camper, which we ended up sitting there for 6 hours, which
insane.
Was crazy,
Love that
but
place.
it was so much fun. It was nice to just kind of connect again over dinner and like talk about things. And then we met Skip, our really good friend here. He's a PT, and his wife Jazz, she wasn't with him, but like we got to go for a hike, and then we went to a brewery and just talked and like had really good conversation. And then we just came home and I was just like, that's it. Like we're moving.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done. We cannot make this place work.
No. And then when those contracts are kind of off the table in the moment, we were like, okay, let's go. Like, let's go down to Parker. And honestly, I'm really putting it out there that they're going to need me. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just PRN, I can work through the holidays. I could even do call. Like, I don't really care. Like, I'm willing to kind of do whatever just to get my hands back scanning again, make some money. So I'm hoping that works out, or a contract pops up that's more south. Because now we're south of Denver. But we're like, we're going to go. Like, let's just go and we'll figure it out. And so we were literally, this was not yesterday, the day before, we were driving down to Parker, like, let's get back in the car. It's 4 o'clock? Mm-hmm. Why do we like 4 o'clock, it's getting dark. We're like, let's just drive down there to this apartment place that we had already been to, but we're like, let's just go talk to them because it's easier just to go talk in person than it is to like email and stuff. drive down there, talk to them. They had a great 3-month lease. Let's just do it.
Well, again, and that was my thing too, because Kim was like, we can do all this online. And I was like, yeah, but it's the holidays. People are like wanting to get out. It's 4:00. They leave at like 6. Like, will they respond? Like, they don't want to get involved in that. Like, it's late at night. So if we pop in, there's no turning us away.
Right.
Like, so let's just go. And then I had this nagging feeling in my bones to just kind of look around as we were driving. Because fortunately, this time it still was daylight and I could still see. And the first time we went down there, it was nighttime. And so it was just kind of like one of those things where I started looking around and Kim graciously would call the place as we drove past it. And so I had my eyes on this one apartment complex that looked brand new, and it's directly across the street from the hospital.
Which for us Floridians in the snow, because that's the other thing with the commuting, like 45 minutes isn't an ideal drive, but like I could do it. It's the winter, the snow, like that is what freaks me out with these commutes. So anyways, living across the street from the hospital, you're just like, I can walk there, right? Like
I'm getting a scooter.
Right. So that was amazing. So we're driving by. So I had called a couple places as we're driving by, and like they didn't do short-term leases. So then we come by this place. We're literally driving, and you don't know the name of it. It's not on the map, and so I literally am Googling like.
But I had said it. There's a sign that says the Depot.
So I put in like the Depot next to
Spring Hill
yeah.
Suites.
So thank God for Google. Then this place popped up, and I got the phone number. So I just called, and the girl was so sweet, and she's like, "Yeah, we do 3-month leases, and blah blah blah.
We're pet friendly.
And she was just so great. So we like literally did a U-turn, and I was like, "Well, I know it's late, because at this point it was like almost 5, and I'm like, I know it's late, but can we just pop in and look at a place? Like, because the other thing with the other apartment that we originally were gonna go down to get, we could have made it work. It was fine, but it was very, very small.
Very small. The washer and dryer was in the bedroom.
And it was a tiny little kitchen. And we were just like, whatever, we'll make it work, but it wasn't ideal. So like, I swear to God, she always has to go in and go on that blanket.
It's cozy.
No. So I was like, no, like enough. I don't want pug hair all over my bathroom mat.
Come on, Limpy.
So I was like, can we pop in and just see the place? Come in. She takes us up, shows us the apartment. The apartment is so nice. Like literally the biggest kitchen we've ever had since traveling. It just had like good vibes to it, good feel about it. Of course, it was unfurnished, which we're prepared for furnished this time because we thought we were doing Furnish Finder. And there was just something in us that we were just like, let's take it. Like, let's do it. 3-month lease.
Across from the hospital.
We were like, let's do it.
Well, because on top of that, if you think about it, if Kim is looking for a contract and there's nothing at this Parker Advent Hospital right now, she says their ultrasound staff is very happy there. So I don't know if they're going to need anybody. But now I'm like, we just eliminated the rental car because I can just take a scooter across the street. Like, it's not even that big of a deal. Rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Like, I can get there. And so that saves us a rental car every month if Kim has to go, and she can just take the Jeep, and I'm good. I can respond for call, no big deal. It's a mile away because I have to go around the traffic. That's it.
Right, which I think we can find a shorter route on foot. So we ended up signing, like doing all the things that night. And then the next day, which
Tuesday.
was yesterday. So we're recording this Wednesday before Thanksgiving. You're listening to this on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
And Tuesday, we moved all of our stuff down. And, well, all of our stuff. Like, it literally took us, 15 minutes to unload everything from the Jeep. Like, we had to repack up the Jeep. Luckily, we didn't unpack everything. But we had to load up the Jeep again. We drove down here. And originally we were like, okay, we're going to have to rent furniture because we don't have furniture. So I looked at Court, which is usually who we go through. and it was going to be about $500 a month.
Roughly.
But then it was also an $800 fee.
Delivery fee.
Yeah.
And pickup.
So at the end of the day, it was adding about $750 a month to our rent. And that's for 3 months. Now the goal is that we extend, right? Like our hope is that you get extended, I find something, or they end up needing me, or whatever the case is, and that we can like stay in Colorado in this area for as long as possible. So if we were renting furniture, that's for 3 months. So then you do 4 months, 5 months. Like, oh my God, it just adds up so much. So we're like, okay, for 3 months, we're adding it ended up being like almost $2,400 for 3 months. So we thought, instead of paying this to rent furniture, let's go buy a bed in a box, which is amazing. We bought a cheap couch from Amazon. And in the meantime, Aaron went to Goodwill and he got a rocking chair, which is great because now you have that. And we got this like cheap little fold up chair or whatever. So we had that in the interim because the sofa doesn't come until Friday. But we got our bed in a box at like same day, brought it home.
Mm-hmm. And on top of that, you got to think of what time frame we were in. We're in Black Friday.
Yeah.
It was
really lucked out.
perfect.
Yeah.
So like $400 bed. And then I got a $80 bed frame. That didn't have to, one thing, there was a $50 one, but like I had to build it. And so like I literally bought $80 because all I had to do was unfold it and it like clicked in. It was so nice. Mm-hmm. And then I bought a lamp for our bedroom. And because of Black Friday, I got a TV for like so cheap.
So it ended up, it was more work, obviously, like, and we've done this many, many times. Like, we've been travelers for 14 years. Many times, if we got unfurnished places, we've either rented something or we've just makeshift stuff. Mm-hmm. I think in the end, when you can makeshift stuff, like, and go to the Goodwill and get a couch. Like, if I was alone, I would literally have a beanbag chair. Like, I don't need a full couch. Like, I wouldn't need a TV if I was alone. I would just use my computer. Like, you can do things very cheaply. And in the grand scheme of things, we are saving so much money because now it's done. We already had all of our kitchen stuff. We have every single thing that we need now. So all we have to pay is our rent. We don't now have to pay an additional, $750 for furniture. So, but it was a lot more work and it was a lot more running around where we're like, oh my God, what are we gonna do?
Well, not to mention now, like that bed will be slept in. Let's say we have to leave in March. That bed will be slept in for 3 months. It's brand spanking new, came out of a box. I mean, we could put it on Facebook Market for $250.
Yeah.
And like see if somebody wants the full thing for $250.
Well,
like that's a beautiful guest room bed.
Yeah, and it's super comfortable.
Oh my
and
God.
The guy said we have 4 months, we could actually return it and they can come pick it up. And so basically they would deduct $250 from what we paid and give us the rest back, but we could get our money back essentially. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we could try to resell this stuff. But at the end of the day, and especially if we stay longer, like I have a feeling we're going to be in Colorado, even if like we move more north or whatever, we can just take our stuff with us. So anyways, I think that's a great option for a traveler to think about is like if you do get an unfurnished place, because the only furnished places that were available for us, again, as a couple who is not willing to have a studio apartment or rent a room, because if you're solo and you're open to that, there was a lot of options. We're not. There was nothing in this area. It was only like Aurora, Denver. Oh my, there were so many places. Mm-hmm. Like we could have lived anywhere. But Denver was too far of a commute to Parker, where Aaron's working for call. Like it just was too far. So to live in this particular area, there was no furnished options. Our only option was to get an unfurnished place. And so I think some travelers don't think about that, but it's like you can get an unfurnished place, buy a couple of things
from a Goodwill
and save a shit ton of money. And now we're ending up spending way less money here than we would have even at that furnished place in Aurora. So it kind of all worked out. It just took a lot of steps to get here, but now I feel like we're finally settled. We don't have our couch yet, but when we do, we are golden.
It's going to be an interesting Thanksgiving with our rocking chair and our fold-out chair, but like, I mean, it works. It's us, and we're happy, and this place is gorgeous and it's so nice and comfortable and cozy. And we have a Christmas tree and we have a TV and everything that we need, and we can watch movies and just our kitchen is gorgeous.
Oh my God.
It's like a full-on cooking kitchen, which is like, it's the biggest one we've had in God knows how long.
I feel like
besides Jacksonville in our house.
I feel like even we don't have our couch yet, so it's not completely put together, but even just sitting here, like this morning, I got up, it was snowing, which was amazing. We had a storm come through, but now it's like the sun's out, like it's amazing. But I woke up and it was snowing, and I poured my coffee, and I just came out here and like sat in my chair. There's not even a couch, and I still felt way more settled, way more cozy, way more at home than I have in a really long time. And I just know we made the right decision, because even in Aurora at that place, we had a couch. We had I just felt so unsettled.
Well, and I will say, I feel like I'm going to add something, because we will not share a room. We will not stay in a studio. And we also will not stay where the owners are above us and they're like, we love to chat.
Oh
like,
my God, that's
never,
not my vibe.
Never gonna stay anywhere that I'm like in a conjoined space where I have to like see people
and have to be social.
And I'll add, I need sunlight in the house.
Yeah.
And that was another thing with the Aurora thing. It was so dark.
Yeah.
We were covered by trees. We were tucked away in the apartment building, condo building, and it just was dark all the time.
Yeah, we had to put lights on during the day.
Yeah, like full on lights in the house just to see. And it was beautiful outside. And I had no idea. Here, huge windows, light just pouring in. It just feels so much more bright and fun and joyful.
Yeah, it feels
and
like us.
I can't wait. Tomorrow will be my first day that I get to wake up, because I just became compliant today, and I start Monday due to internet issues and health stream issues from the company side of things. So I had to wake up. I had texts blowing me up all morning, like, get this done, it's the holidays, blah, blah, blah. And so like I've been go since then, and literally sat down, ate lunch, started recording this podcast. And so now I am done.
Yeah.
I am officially done. I just got to get my hair cut. That's it. And I'm done.
Haircut. We're going to go to the grocery store, get all of our food.
Make dinner tonight.
Make dinner in our kitchen. And tomorrow, Thanksgiving, we're going to go for a hike. And like a little one, get out. It's supposed to be a gorgeous day, and like come home and make bacon cheeseburgers and just like totally chill and like finally feel like, I feel like our nervous system has been so like just
jaded.
Like it's just been so like on edge and so like heightened. Like I just feel this relaxation, and just to like enjoy these next couple of days with you being here in Colorado. And I'm just Thanksgiving, like being grateful. Like I am just so grateful to be here right now.
Yeah.
And not only to be in this apartment that feels so right, and that I'm so happy to be here, but like we're in Colorado. We're in freaking Colorado. Like we're going for a hike tomorrow. It snowed this morning, but the sun's out. Like this is where we've always wanted to come, and we're here, and I just feel really, really grateful to be
exactly
here.
For that reason, and I'm grateful as well. But this is exactly what we're talking about. Is like we get to go out and go for a beautiful hike near the Red Rocks tomorrow, and then come home and still have Thanksgiving. Like
yeah, it's a 30-minute drive.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like you would never do that in Florida.
Nope.
Right? Like you go for a hike and it's hot as shit, and like you're walking out and there's snakes and walking in dirt and like whatever. Like it's just, this is gorgeous. Like I'm so excited to be here, and we get to actually like do what it is we've talked about for years, and actually showing the things that we're talking about is important to us, and like getting out on Thanksgiving morning and going for a hike and coming back and enjoying our time here. So like I'm super excited.
Me too. All right, well, on that note.
Well, the next podcast will be my first week of work.
Wow, that's crazy. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Great week. I hope you guys have an amazing Thanksgiving, and that you are surrounded by love and having a relaxing day, or working and making money, or just whatever feels good for you, and just focusing on, again, what you're grateful for, the little things, the big things, so much to be grateful for, and Thank you for listening. We're grateful for you for showing up each week and listening to our crazy life. And thank you for being here. And you can always follow along with us on our Instagram story at Kim and Aaron G. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.